Hi and welcome to PayPal's webinar on driving business online. This is the second in a three-part series. I'm your host, Peter Switzer. Joining me is the proprietor of a business called Little Flowers. His name is Hans Berents. And also with me is Tim Mackinnon, who's head of merchant solutions for eBay. And what we're going to do really is get inside the head of Hans and his business. And Tim's going to listen and contribute to either helping Hans grow his business more or ask a whole pile of questions along with me so we can help you learn from the experiences of these two guys who have been in the business game from a different point of view for quite some time. So without any further ado, let's kick off. Hans, you have been in business for a long time, but Little Flowers is quite a new business. Tell us about it.
Well, yeah, it's only been around since January. And it was 9 months in the planning phase. The directors, there's partners of Little Flowers, we're all from an advertising background. And the concept came up basically because all the partners had these problems with their girlfriends and stuff where, if you work a late night or something, you've got to apologise and you've got to give flowers. Yeah. And I would give my girlfriend at the time, a bunch of $120 flowers, and they're big and extravagant, and pretty embarrassing for them, I think. And I didn't get the desired reaction.
So you spent a lot of money.
Spent a lot of money.
You were in the you-know-what, and it didn't work.
No, I got in more of the you-know-what because I'd, blown $120 on this big bouquet that, it was embarrassing to take home on the train or something like that. It was...
People on the train knew you were in trouble.
Knew that I was sucking up. And the same happened with the Idea Gallery partners over there. Ben had a similar experience. He's just like, I don't want to pay, so much money for, this thing. I want something simple, and I want, just something small. And it's the gesture of giving that is important. It's not, the flowers themselves. And, sure...
It's the belated caring, the caring that should have come before you made the mistake, but at least you've got the caring right.
Yeah, well, to show you still care. Yeah. But that's what it all boiled down to, and the seed of the idea came about that, people weren't giving flowers as much as they could. They want to celebrate these tiny little things and these big things, but they couldn't drop, 50, 60, $120 on it. And so when we looked at the market strategically, what we saw is, you've got your IGA or your Coles flowers, which are, quite pedestrian and very basic and simple and very cheap. And then, you've got this high-end market, particularly when they're delivered. They get up around, a small bunch delivered is around $50 to $60. So we saw a real gap in the market. And then, thinking more about it, boiling over, Sarah, Ben and John from Idea Gallery, myself, put the old marketing hat on and you go, no, what are the other problems in general with florist shops? And wastage is massive. They try and keep all these different flowers. They pay rent on a space, which is quite massive, which led us to believe why the price is so big. They're each bunch of flowers makes up for the waste they throw away, and all these flowers that they've got to store takes up square metres in a shop front. So that's then we started thinking, take the unnecessary bigness out of the flowers, celebrate the gesture, celebrate the giving, and that's one thing that's it's not a fad or a trend. Giving flowers, it's been around from the beginning of time, so it's pretty robust. But to change the market and bring it in at a new point in the market, I think, was where we got really excited. Then suddenly sort of kicked it off and it's being taken really well.
You've been going since January.
Yep.
Are you on a wave that you're riding?
We're definitely on a rave that we're riding.
A rave or a wave?
We're in a rave, riding a rave. The price point for us, $25, delivered anywhere in the the CBD, eastern suburbs, inner west, $25.
That's a huge price competitive advantage.
Huge price point, and we joked around this thing of a recession-proof business. Nothing's recession-proof, but we'd like to think that We wanted people to give flowers for the silliest reasons. We wanted them, you know, to celebrate these little things with a bunch of beautiful flowers.
Yeah.
But in a recession, or when, you know, money's a bit tighter, we can get the market of the happy birthdays. We can get the new birth of children, the thinking of your flowers, stuff like that. So people's spending could come down to us. So, the whole riding the wave, we're trying to do with the price point predominantly, but at the same time, the consumer engagement is hugely important to us, and our customer service is something that Sarah, stamps her foot about. Because we don't have that shop front that other people have, we don't have a face-to-face. So we have to use...
it's all online?
All online. Social media, Facebook to drive it, and obviously a website where you can purchase the flowers, view the day's flowers, or purchase flowers in advance. So we had to get that brand personality and that customer caring side across through our social media, so through our status updates, through our Instagram and through our photos. As well, it was exceptionally important to us to have a one-on-one relationship. So we developed, because of past experiences, when you send a bunch of $120 flowers and you don't know if they've got there or not, you can start getting quite anxious, and you know, you want to know that you're out of the doghouse. And so, you know, Sarah's like, we have to send a text as soon as they're delivered, so people, you know, don't worry. And
strategy,
that was
customer service.
Strategy and customer service. And at the same time, you know, it's a bit selfish as well, because it keeps people off our backs with constant emails and, you know, pestering, as, you know, as they're right to do. So that customer service is something that I think has worked really well for us as we've grown up, because people talk, and our best advertising is the flowers themselves. And if people have got these flowers, and they look a lot more prestigious than the price point indicates, and when people see these flowers against some other flowers, and, you know, they've been very eager to share, and luckily with, you know, the Facebook, Instagram stuff, when people get them, they're starting to snap them, tag them, and share it with their friends. So it becomes a knock-on effect.
Okay, so do you have a lot of variety? I guess they look like posies. They're quite small. They're not huge.
Yeah. Well, I mean, taking the unnecessary bigness down. Our like you would say a posy or a bouquet as such. Not a floral arrangement. No. Simplicity is what we're all about.
Yeah, of course.
And strategically, once again, the thinking is, we just go to the markets, we buy one bunch a day. We don't try and cover, you know, 6 or 7 different arrangements, because that's going to be blowing money that we don't have. Yeah. So our main purpose to keep the costs down and the wastage down is to go to one bunch a day. Next day, a different bunch. And keep a quality control on it. So whenever someone goes online, they can see the flowers of the day, but they can see the last 7 bouquets as well. And so they know what they're in for. There's no surprises. We're not suddenly going to come out and do something, you know, weird. It's going to be small and cute and beautiful and exceptionally well presented. Okay,
and what we're doing here is we're deconstructing you and we're profiling you, so Tim can eventually jump in as well and ask heaps of questions as well. So how do we get an idea of your growth from January? What kind of KPIs or what kind of measurements can you give us an idea of the growth of the business?
So, I mean, in the first week, when we launched in January, at the end of January is never a great time to start a business, you know, but with Valentine's Day looming up, we needed some sort of presence, because that's a shot in the arm for any business, particularly a flower business on Valentine's Day. In that first week, we were celebrating, you know, 3 flowers, 5 flowers a day, just getting the name out there. And, you know, it's always, the first couple of days we're all friends and family, you know, like, good on you for having a crack. And the thing was, when they sent it to someone else and these people saw it, and it was so different to what else is out there, because it is one simple, beautiful bunch. for that amazing price point, people started spreading it themselves, and then then at the end of the month we're like, right, if we can get 5 a day, the end of the month, that'd be wonderful. So by the end of February, luckily Valentine's Day came across, and I think that was in our 2nd or 3rd week, and we got 50 on one day, which was, it's like, whoa, and then all the people who got that, it sort of spread. So we've gone in 6 months sort of up to, we're sort of booting around the 40 to 45 mark a day now. And really pushing for next month, we want to be hitting the 50 a day.
Who goes to the markets and buys the flowers?
Sarah.
Okay.
So the CEO, or as she likes to be called, the CEO of the company, is in there every morning. And but everyone, like anyone who works for the business, is in their business at every aspect. Because you can, it's such a feel-good business, giving flowers. And you send a text, those texts are so important. Because in a bad day or in traffic, when someone's delivering, you send a text, "Go, your flowers have been delivered," and they're like, "Oh my God, it made my friend's day." It's it's just like, oh wow, you are touching people's lives in a weird way. So it's a real feel good factor.
Okay, a question I think a lot of people would be having is, well, okay, you're buying the flowers, you got to get them delivered, and your price point is 25, isn't it? Yeah. Okay, so how's that working out?
So obviously, like that lower price point, it's a numbers game for us, and delivery is by and large the biggest margin. The biggest slice of the margin, and it's something that we're looking. That we're always looking at analysing. But, the economies of scale stuff, the bigger you get, the more you buy, the cheaper the products are. The bigger you get, the more you deliver. You can bring that price point down. So this 6 months has been very hard, particularly in the beginning, to justify that delivery cost. Yeah. But as it gets bigger and bigger and bigger, that's, I think, something that we can still afford to offer. But yeah, there was a lot of times with Sarah or me or Janelle in the car running around frantically. You don't know the city streets. You a lot of swearing and stuff.
Hands on, like on the delivery costs. I know a lot of retailers out there struggle with delivery costs in Australia. We have high delivery costs, and on eBay we encourage all of our sellers to do free shipping, and you guys have free shipping or delivery included. Yeah. Like, what advice would you give to businesses out there as to how they can keep their delivery costs down, and why it's so important to have that free shipping experience for you?
It's something that the four of us, Sarah, Ben and John and I, have talked a lot about from the beginning. And it's always come back to the same thing. You want a clean number. And for us, that magic number was 25.
The conversion rates on free shipping, it pays for itself. Yep. In the sense that, yes, you have to wear some costs, but your sell-through rate being a point of difference. Customers hate, that back-end surprise. Having that clear advantage it makes a real difference to the amount you sell.
Oh, yeah. It's a fantastic value add. But of course, in the early stages, it must have been quite a dramatic experience.
In the early stages, it was...
What have we done here?
It was us delivering.
Yeah.
And so we could wear it because that delivery cost is coming back into our pockets.
Yeah.
But
it's like a wage inside your profit.
Yeah, exactly. Right. Inside the beginnings of a profit.
Yes, too early to talk about profit. Yeah,
The back-end surprise that you talk about is really, really important. Sarah's English, John's Irish, and there's a company over there called Ryanair. Yeah. So you get on, it says, £19 flight to Berlin. You go on there, then they sting you for baggage. Yeah. They sting you for headphones.
There's no such thing as cheap airfares.
No, exactly. Then, insurance and all that, and by the time you get there, it's a £100 flight. And then our price point would be taken away from it. So, yeah, it was very important for us to give the free shipping and no surprises. And as we've got bigger, we've got a career in the city on a push bike, Smoke and Joe, and he's fantastic because what it would take Sarah or Rach or Anna to do in the city in 4 hours. He's on a pushy, and he gets 20 to 30 out in an hour and a half.
So can I ask this question? When you started, you didn't know about Smoking Joe.
No.
But the reality is, as you grow your business and you get confronted by these threats, you then go looking for the opportunities. Yeah. Have you been staggered at the sort of stuff that is out there, but to a novice, you just don't know? But the harder you look and the more determined you are to find it, they do turn up, don't they?
They do. And forgive me for sounding like a hippie, but like the universe, and it's not smart business to talk like this, obviously, but the sort of...
Steve Jobs didn't hurt him. He talked like a way out hippie.
Yeah, he killed it. But like you get what you need, right? And by some weird coincidence, Sarah met Joe in a lift, and Joe was carrying a big bunch from one of the corporate florists.
Yeah.
And Sarah had this tiny little bunch of flowers, and they were talking, about the size and stuff. And then when they got to the receptionist at the place spent more time looking at the little flowers because of the uniqueness of that offering, I guess, which she felt very chuffed about. And then Joe took an interest, he's a businessman as well, and he's like, well, I can fit one of these big bunches in my basket for the same price as I can fit one of these little bunches in my basket. And so he can fill his flower basket with 20 of ours to one of our competitors. Yeah. So it was just a chance meeting, and then
that makes you think better, doesn't it?
Completely.
Yeah. How many other Smoking Joes have you got around the country? My next question: are you increasing your national footprint?
Yes. Well, we're in discussions with it. There's discussions for us at the moment, heading down to Melbourne.
So you're primarily in Sydney now?
So primarily in Sydney. There's a couple of goals for us, and you've obviously got to walk before you can run, and there's always jogging in the middle. But, we need to ride on what's happening now. We need to stay with it. So walking is not an option for us as well. So, we are in that jog area. And, for example, Joe, once again, weirdness, he does these things where it's like a courier, bike couriers games. And he knows bike couriers from all around the world.
Of course.
Because he organises these games. They were in Japan just recently. So in talking to him, it's like, Joe, we're in conversations with someone down in Melbourne. He goes, I know heaps of riders down in Melbourne. We're also, talking about expanding out of Sydney, because at the moment, we're only doing this. And although the CBD is the most highly populated, there's people screaming for it, northwest, north.
Chatswood and places like
that. Exactly,
Yeah.
down towards, Silicon Valley out there near Ryde. So we've got to do that, but at the same time, we're talking down to Melbourne. There's conversations in Perth and Brizzy as well, which is exciting. And Sarah's a very proud English woman, and she would love to take this, back to Britain.
To the old days.
And that's, that's really important to her.
Well, what's fascinating about this business is, and we see it, it's a growing idea, is that this is, even though it's delivered offline, this is a real online business. Without the online connection, do you think you could make this happen?
Without the social media, there's no way. Because, traditionally it was the shop front where all the talking was done. You could rely on a little bit of word of mouth from here or there. A sticker on a van with a phone number. It's not going to do as much as, someone with a camera who has Instagram your photo, put it up on Facebook and done some talking. So, in a traditional sense, the giving of flowers is not something that technology can ever do. Like a computer will never be able to give the flowers, but man, it can help enable someone else to give the flowers for them.
And creates the desire for them.
Oh, definitely, yeah. And that.
I'm sorry to interrupt, Hans, because we were out of time. It's such an interesting story. I want Tim to get in as well. But this is probably the last question before I interrupt again later on. But it seems to me, when you started, did you realise the wealth of opportunity that was there online? Or was it like, we're going to sell this online.
Yeah.
Did you realise the potential momentum from Instagram and Facebook? Was it like even a shock to you?
It was a bit of a shock. Advertising background, we've done online campaigns and stuff. Ben, Sarah and I for some very big companies. And that includes the social media stuff. And none of them hit the ground as hard as this has. Because I guess we're not shouting at people to buy them, we're showing them a process. And people have really jumped on that, and the early adopters, the guys who get in there first, they have a real sense of helping us spread this idea, and the people who've purchased it in sort of the first month are still there going, and the people who post it, they all feel like they're building this brand themselves. But we're blown away by just how easy social media has made it to spread the word.
And build a relationship. That's what I'm hearing. This is a relationship. It's not like a transaction. They love what you do for them, and they then spread the word. It's fantastic. Tim, what was
I mean, I love this story. Like, there's a couple... if I've read business books about innovation, and this is your classic low-end disruption, right? Like the way you described it, the unnecessary bigness.
Unnecessary bigness of it all.
Yeah, and you've come in with a product that's cheaper, simpler, and so scalable. Like, I think the lesson out there for businesses, how do you scale your business so that you can enter new markets? I just love the fact that you found a product that suddenly the courier can take 20 of them rather than one. Like, you've just found scale there. So it's a great story. I had a couple of questions. One was about mobile. I mean, we're seeing on eBay and PayPal now 1 in 3 transactions are mobile. Yep. eBay, over 50% of our traffic is mobile. Do you think about the mobile experience of your customers and tell us about that?
Every day. But getting the business up off the ground, we had to go for an off-the-shelf website, and the money that you can spend in mobile applications and in websites, that talk and stuff, was too much for us to foot the bill of in the beginning. But this mobile app and a new website that we can design and do a lot. Perfect to us, because coming off using this other platform, there's a lot of compromises that we made.
Yep.
And we're getting to the stage now where an investment in a phenomenal website will not only help us globally and nationally to align it, but we can always also build in this mobile application, and you want it to be as simple as possible. And that's something that we're really sort of starting to think and work on, how we can make the back-end checkout process really simple, and a mobile application shouldn't be any more than 3 clicks.
That's right.
Bang, bang, and the flowers are gone.
I think it's important for people out there to also understand that you don't have to get a developer and a top-end, enterprise-level website to kind of get mobile. You can. There's lots of off-the-shelf solutions that are mobile-enabled and make it easier and responsive.
Yep.
Other question I had was about just about how you get customer feedback. I mean, is it through the text messages? How do you hear from customers what they're looking for and where they want you to take this solution? So we act a lot on instinct because, a year ago we were customers ourselves. Yeah.
Sarah especially knows what she wants and how she would like to be treated. And that's how she's built this relationship by offering, the simple thing at the text at the end is what she would want at the end to know her flowers have been delivered. So a lot of instinctual decisions have been made, and they're really working for the customers themselves. Like, they communicate at the end of the text. They're sending like the cheeky texties through. There's obviously the contact us, sending emails through the website, but Facebook as well. They can talk to us. They always say such lovely things in relation to the posts or the beautiful copy that Ben has written. But if they've had a wonderful experience, they post it themselves. And people have been kind enough. If there has been a mistake or something, they will talk to us privately. They won't go up and blow us up online, which is wonderful. But the thing about operating a flower business is if we make a mistake, we can send them flowers, and it's you know, at the end of the day, it's just flowers, and it's about the gesture. So always, if we've mucked up, we'll send flowers.
And you guys have a history of getting out of trouble. The flowers, haven't you?
Yeah. All four of us. Yeah.
It seems to me. Oh, but I must ask this question. We shouldn't be sexist. Do you mean to say Sarah used to misbehave as an advertising person, and she'd send flowers back to her partner?
She'd been known to send flowers.
Okay. It seems to me, listening to the story, that you're riding the storm is riding the storm of growth.
Yep.
And did that stagger you when you got in the thick of things? You started realising, oh, I want to grow this business, but as it grows, new problems arise.
Oh, yeah. There was a bit of advice that we got given is, you know, there's always new problems. Yeah. But we were also given a lot of advice where, you know, you're hearing at this stage of the economy, small businesses are dropping like flies. You know, if you survive the first year, you're lucky. By the third year, if you're still there, you might be okay. There was a lot of doom and gloom, and you know, the fact that the end of the just financial year has passed and we're not in the red. Is amazing, and it's something that we need to celebrate. But at the same time, like, the idea works. Yeah. It really works, and now's the time to explode it.
And are you therefore looking at equity partners to help you go to the next level?
Yes, like there's conversations. We had conversations last night about it, and you know, once again, it's 7-8 months in, and we're having these conversations. Like, you get nervous about it, but they're good problems to have. Yeah. But the main thing for us as well is, you know, to however we skin it, you know, however we work out how to get the capital to grow, we have to be in control. Like, we don't want to make a decision where someone might take the control away from, you know, from Sarah, Ben, John, and I. But, you know, at the same time, we can't foot the bill to expand at the pace we want to. So, I mean, they're brilliant conversations to have.
It's a nice problem to have. Yeah. Tim, last question, you got one?
Look, I just last comment. I think it's great that you're looking at overseas. I think that Australian businesses can sometimes feel like all the competition's coming in, and I love the fact that you're thinking about taking this model globally. Australians are inherently entrepreneurial people. We have a great small business culture. I see on eBay we have sort of 80% of our businesses are exporting overseas, and
wow.
You know, I think it's terrific, and that's all I'd say is encourage you to think big and get the funding to take it global.
The beauty is of that story of yours, and eBay's been a great vehicle to help people, is that they've become accidental exporters.
That's right.
Like, a friend of mine owns an antique shop, and I think he was selling a Dunhill lighter that was like 40, 50 years old. He ended up selling it to someone in Kansas. You know, he never sold outside of probably, you know, the eastern suburbs of Sydney, or maybe sometimes interstate when people came on holidays. But the internet means that we all can become exporters.
That's right.
Because
you know, the interesting thing, another stat is that, like, of offline retailers, only 2% go overseas because it's hard. You've got to go and set up. Whereas online, it's 80% on eBay, and we, like you, people who really focus in on a niche pick a simple thing that they're the best in the world at.
Yeah.
And we have, like, you know, company Boots for All. They just do Australian-made boots, Blundstones, Redback, etc. And they've got a global market. They're the best in the world at it. So pick your niche, think big, and it's just a great story. And well done.
Well, thanks, Tim. Thanks, Hans. It's a great story. That's the end of the webinar today. Thanks for joining us. As you can see, Hans and his team are riding a wave. We don't think they'll be dumped. We think they'll ride it all the way to the shore. But I think the critical issue is that these guys could see an online opportunity. And it's an online opportunity that offline businesses can add to it. It's not, you don't have to be one or the other. And do you think one day you might have an offline business as well?
I think, you know, we would like a space where people can wander in.
Yeah.
You know, that would be the dream, to have a place where people can wander in and and pick it up. And we are looking at sort of pick-up spots where people can go and get the flowers.
That's a good point. But in the suburbs and stuff like that.
Yeah, where it's just they can go in and they can collect from there. So it's we just want to get out there, and Sarah's mantra is she just wants to make Sydney a little bit better place, one bunch at a time sort of thing.
All right. Well, thanks for joining us. As you can see, I'm completely empowered when I'm in the company of inspirational entrepreneurs, and thanks for coming along, and make sure you join us for the third webinar in the series. I'm Peter Switzer. Thanks for joining us.